The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is currently a couple minutes after 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
If you don't know, wait. First and foremost, let's kick it off as we always do. Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gifts of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, must say thank you to the man, Tony Prescott. Well, those that went before us, sorry. Mm-hmm. Not just the ancestors, but also Tony Prescott. Mm-hmm. And the P this week stands for?
Papayo. You know why? You see what happened over the last week also, Aaron?
With what?
Trinidad and Tobago is front and center. Trinidad and Tobago is we trending. We trending.
So before we reach that, let's really quickly, guys. You are inside the living room with yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I'm always great and I'm never late, alongside
Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage and the local sage.
And we are here today for a very serious topic, right? But before we get into the topic, you know how we do. Last week I hung my hat. Mm-hmm. So Ricardo, hang away.
I want to hang my hat to all the Trinidad and Tobago citizens, like Philip from work. Philip from work, you will know who you are. For the types of things that we've been doing for our brothers and sisters navigating this current crisis. You know, the little extra that people go to, the things that they don't post on Facebook and nobody knows that they do. I want to hang my hat for all those anonymous helpers, servants, friends, neighbors, brothers, friends, sisters, the heroes, for the anonymous heroes. The anonymous heroes, like counselors, the anonymous heroes, they're not so anonymous, but some of the things that they're doing very anonymous. Anonymous heroes like Philip from work, the people who does make things happen. What I'm saying is
Philip is a real person?
Yeah, that was Philip from work. Work. I know why I'm saying Philip from work too. Right? Okay. What I'm saying is there are countless Philips from work. People who are doing what it takes to support the brother and sister in this type of crisis, in this particular thing we're going through. I want to hang my hat and I want to salute and I want to say, "Ole, welcome in my living room anytime. Anytime. Y'all are citizens. Y'all are neighbors. I good day.
You sure?
I real good day, Aaron. What you want to wipe your foot on this week, Aaron? Oh wait! I want to just hang my hat to my boy Jason Williams for making for making Trinidad look good, but then people trying to make Trinidad look bad. J-Dub, when they say that you wasn't
my bad. Apologies.
They say J-Dub wasn't supposed to do a kind of walk. He wasn't supposed to do a kind of walk because, you know, of other career choices he's made. And 3 days later, everybody forget that talk because the man so properly and eloquently and humorously represented us. So hanging my hat to J-Dub to use as citizen, brother. Man. You could come in my living room. Aaron, yes, you had the task of wiping your foot now.
I want to wipe my feet by, boy, this one, it's a little difficult for me to say. For everybody who don't know but want to comment. If you don't know, it's okay to stay quiet. If you don't know, it's okay to not have an opinion. If you don't know, go and read something to know. Social media is a blessing and a curse. it has given a lot of us the opportunity to connect with persons who we have not interacted with since 1998 in boys school. But it has also given liberty to keyboard warriors to comment on things that they know nothing about, to create misinformation and spread propaganda, which is detrimental to the situation that we are in today. If you don't know, learn about it. If you don't know, it's okay not to comment. If you never remember anything I say, remember that.
Because of that things we don't know, we inclined to have guests in the living room. People who could help inform and educate us. We could continue having these casual conversations on serious topics. And tonight is no different.
Exactly.
We have quite a charming and entertaining, knowledgeable and well-spoken guest. She speaks 2 languages, Trini and American. We have Dr. Karine Clay joining us. She's a clinical and educational psychologist, organizational mental health consultant, author, and motivational speaker. Trini born, but she outside right now, and she will tell you all about that herself. So, Aaron, you have the keys?
Brother man, the door open.
Waiting room then.
Mezzanine.
The mezzanine.
La enna.
All right.
Guys, we really had to bring a specialist in to discuss tonight's topic because it's a very serious one. And as much as we say it's casual conversations on serious topics, sometimes we get a little more serious, just a little more, right? And this is one of those times that we'll try to be a little more serious.
That might prove to be a little tricky because our guest has proven to be quite the charmer / entertainer. So we're going to pay respect to the topic, but listen, I'm just saying that this is good to be able to, to have this type of conversation and to acknowledge the seriousness of it. And you know what, hopefully we could deliver something in a way that makes it a little easier for us to process what it is we going into and going to have to deal with coming out of this.
And one thing we must note before, Ricardo, we formally say welcome to our guest, is that we had to change our usual recording time just a little bit to ensure that our guest could, take this time difference, because we went international for this one.
Seriously.
But this is a Trini program, because I realize I'm picking up something in this seriously there. What Karine, what accent exactly would you say you have right now?
Accent, dialect. I am Trinidadian. Warm to you, boy. You can't see that. Trini completely all the way around. See?
I look for that.
Yes, you did.
I look for that. Cuba, Central lady right here. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And but the sun is still up on your side. So where you hailing from right now?
I am hailing from Las Vegas. And don't ask me to play no slot machines or make no bet for you. So Las Vegas, Nevada, we are still nice and sunny outside.
Well, that's great. I wouldn't ask you to play any slot machines, anything. Working with Aaron is enough of a gamble. So
exactly. Exactly.
What is going on here?
We getting comfortable in the living room. I mean, why not?
It's too early in the show for this, guys.
All right, apologies. I'll save it for a little later.
A little bit later. Thank you. There we go.
I good enough. Tonight I real good. I real good tonight. Guys, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, look at you, mannerful and respectful and thing. Apparently, the trip to the barber straighten up a little more than just your line.
Oh gosh.
The thing is, the old people say after a laugh is cry.
Yes.
And despite having started the conversation in such a jovial manner, we definitely have to acknowledge the weight of the topic at hand. We in September, And usually, well, Irene and I, we dedicate a lot of time and a lot of conversation to mental health. But there's an expression of impaired mental or affected mental health that we want to address directly, right?
Yeah.
God willing is not even I don't want to say it's a last resort. I would prefer if it's not a resort at all. Right. So we're gonna try to have a conversation here on suicide awareness and, God willing, prevention.
Yes.
Okay. So Karine, I don't know if you you know what, let's not take for granted that people understand everything that we're going to get into. So first and foremost, how do you all define suicide? And let's say the difference between suicide and attempted suicide. How do you all scale it? How do you all define?
I hate using a word as if somebody's successfully completing something, but if there was a choice of how it is that you wish to go, the method that somebody may personally choose to end their life, that is what we consider suicide. If that person takes that choice and it is not God's willing, it is not their time or anything like that, or extenuating circumstances, that whatever weight they have on their shoulders is so heavy and so overwhelming that they have chosen to take that choice into their own hands. And that's specifically what is suicide in layman's terms per se. If somebody successfully completes suicide, that means they are no longer with us. I am happy to say that it is good if we can intervene. It is good if it is if a family member or a friend, if you are able to intervene in those cases, then that person might still be able to be here and to say or share that journey with somebody else to prevent them from successfully completing suicide. But that is a journey I would not want anybody to have to go through, is taking their own life into their own hands.
Now, I'm going to get straight in with something that some persons take for granted, right? And a lot of persons like to throw the loose term around that myself. Ricardo and I were supposed to insert the beep.
All right. You could get your beep.
So like try it again. I'm going on
beep
myself. Right? How is it? Are we supposed to take every threat like that seriously?
That is an excellent question. Yes. You have to take every single individual who say they call you, they stand up right next to you, or they're saying something. You have to take this seriously, because this is important. If somebody calling you on the phone and they're saying, Aaron, I'm feeling like I want to be here no more. The worst thing you could do is say, boy, you joking, yes, and hang up the phone. That is the worst thing that you can do. You need to be able to assess the risk. Basically, trying to find out, is this person serious or not? It is not a joking matter. You want to make sure, are they serious enough? Because if somebody say, I have a plan to commit suicide, there's a 38% chance that that person is going to make an attempt. So if you have them on the phone or in person, I strongly encourage you to listen and offer some signs of hope for that individual, because there are specific signals. It's not just only them saying, oh, I'm going to kill myself. There are specific signals and flags that you would have noticed even before those words probably came out of that person's mouth. Some of these signs, I would say to be it a family member of a friend, right? So, because we can't always be able to tell if our loved one is considering suicide, but if the person talking about it, saying, I'm going to kill myself, I wish I was dead, I wish I hadn't been born, if you find the person starting to stockpile pills and things, or they buy a gun, or they start to, which is something which is out of their character to do, or they start withdrawing from people, or they just all of a sudden preoccupied with debt, having conversations about debt, or they're saying goodbye to you, or they're giving away their things for no reason. You're like, wait a minute, you just buy this whole living room set and you want to give it away? What's for? Why are you saying goodbye? If all of a sudden the person starting to do alcohol and drugs and things like that, those are some things, some signs that you would see from an individual who is already starting to make a plan that they're ready to leave here.
I have I'm hearing what you're saying, and a concern I have is that the preoccupation of death in this particular environment, in this particular climate, is something where we all aware of the situation that we're in. We are aware of people disappearing from your timelines and your feeds, and you realize you didn't hear from somebody for a certain length of time, and it's not just a case of you all fall out of touch.
Right.
We experiencing some things that weighing very heavily on us all. And has there been any reflection of the current climate on the numbers, or in terms of what are we to look out for now? A preoccupation with death, or concerns, or the type of thing that might drive somebody in that direction? We're going through a lot of it now. What do we do? I know it's a very broad question, but what do we do?
It is, but it's not. I mean, granted, during this period of the pandemic and COVID-19, we have had lots and lots of death outside of just, the person taking their own life. But because of this traumatic experience, people are feeling as though they want to give up. Many people, regardless of age group or gender, are feeling this way. Now, the numbers currently are not, I would say, up to date, because the World Health Organization, the last research that they've done regarding suicide was since 2016, but we know that the numbers are going up because of, say, for example, the COVID intervention team that TTAP has. We have been collecting data on people calling our hotline, for assistance as far as mental health is concerned. And just from those situations, how many people have felt so overwhelmed that they're saying, you know what, I'm reaching out for this last lap right here for this person to help me or talk me out of whatever they're trying to do. And so some of the situations have been successful where we've been able to intervene, but there are situations that we were not successful and we're not able to intervene. But since 2016, we've had around the world, 793,000 suicide deaths that were successful. And this was, not to say interesting to me, but I wanted to find out, with all this happening, is it mostly men, women? Who is it mostly? Young children, I was surprised to find out that most of them was men, surprisingly, right? And when people was like, we're talking about how could that be? And I was like, do you guys know that the single biggest killer of men under 45 years old is suicide?
That
I know,
is
right?
news to me.
Yes.
I've come across some stats in my time. I did not know that one.
Yeah.
That's
Globally,
serious news to me, boy.
globally compared to women. Not to say that women are not in those numbers too, but when you look at the stats and you see compared to women, men are 3 to 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women are. And you have to pause because you're like, but we're going on. What are we doing here? And this is globally, so it's when you think about just our small island, those numbers may seem even larger because we have, what is that, 1.5 million or so around people within Trinidad and Tobago. And because of such a small population, we are starting to now dig deeper to find out, well, what can we do to ensure that we are keeping our young boys and young men safe? Because suicide is a very sensitive and complex issue, because there's so many reasons why people do it, right? And even though now with COVID, the problem is people's mental health has been impacted so drastically during this time period that we have had to increase the awareness so that people have more understanding as to, why it is they need to start sharing their feelings or talking about their feelings. And I went into that to say women are more likely to volunteer and discuss their feelings. But as men yourselves, do you consider yourself open to being able to share when you're vulnerable, or when you're like, okay, or feeling like if you want to cry, you're gonna share that with somebody, or if you're feeling a hole, you're gonna share that with somebody? Do you guys feel like within your gender that you do that more so than women do? Be honest, eh? What do you think?
Stripe shirt, you could go first.
Wow, just throw me under the bus, huh?
Trying.
For me, I would say I can't speak for most men.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably speak for I can comfortably speak for myself and a few others. I have a very close peer group where we can come out and talk to each other about how we feel.
Okay.
And
That's
the stresses
good.
of our life.
That's
But there
good.
are still larger pockets of the male society that if you come out and tell a brethren, hey, I'm feeling too right, you might experience extra peak on for that, for being that open and transparent about your feelings.
Right. What about you, Ricardo?
Yes, solid shoot.
Yeah, well, I consider myself a fairly open book, and I know the fallacy in that. I will give you as much access to anything you want to know, except for the one or two things that really matter. So I'm communicative, yes. I will express, yes, but you would not know when I'm having my hardest day. You would know everything to make you feel comfortable and involved and aware. But the days that I have the hardest loads to bear or the greatest challenges, I still have to I have to practice communicating such. Yeah. And I'm fairly open and communicative. So I will have to say that we still have a lot of ground to cover in terms of being able to comfortably communicate our vulnerabilities and challenges.
Yeah. And that is another issue of why it is you would find that we wouldn't know what's going on in a young man's or, an adult male's mind, because he is accustomed to keeping his feelings all bottled up, right? Also, where women would choose certain methods to commit suicide. It might be pills. Me ain't here to give nobody no examples of different ways to kill themselves. But if I have to give an example, women would probably choose pills, right? That would be the first goal. Men, on the other hand, choose something a little bit more violent. They would usually choose guns, right? And that is the next issue, because with a woman choosing pills, for example, that still gives some time to intervene and save that person, so to speak. But when the male chooses something as violent and immediate as a gun, usually there isn't any wiggle room for us to be able to intervene. So that's another reason why the numbers go up, not just only because of the fact that we don't know there's something wrong with them, or they don't even know there's something wrong with them. But also the method that they choose is so completely immediate and it's quick. And there isn't a chance for somebody to jump in and say, whoa, 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 or to take them to the hospital or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's another issue.
So it's not that men have more stressful lives. It's not that, we just have a tendency to choose a method that has greater finality. We predisposed towards a more violent approach to this thing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't leave room for, let's say, even remorse or some form of intervention.
Exactly. I mean, and then on top of that as well, because they're not communicating it to anyone. They, think of when you're growing up. I think, when my brothers and them are growing up, if they even bump their knee or something, is like, I can remember my mommy saying, hey, man up, suck it up, stop crying. I can hear those words, from not just my mother, but my aunts and with their boys, right? We encourage our boys to not show emotions and not be weak, not be vulnerable, They have just as much issues as women do, but they are not encouraged to share that. They don't reach out and ask for help. A woman would call out to her general practitioner and say, I'm having these feelings, racing thoughts, suicidal thoughts, all of these things. General practitioner would probably give her something to assist her with that. And within our male population, we do not get that receptiveness towards getting assistance and support when they are having a mental health issue.
Ricardo, this topic here that we have spent a couple of minutes discussing is something I think we need to do a whole show on.
That would be awesome. I think so too.
We need to do a show on why is it so difficult for men to actively look after their mental health or even see a professional about it. We need to do something like that.
I think you mean do another show like that, because we already start a venture into this water as to why we feel the way that we do, why we have the trouble communicating, what responsibility we have as men to allow our brothers to communicate with us. So yeah, we could definitely devote more time to that particular aspect, because it's not just mental health. If we have a toothache, we're probably not going by the by the dentist until
it's a root canal you need and all kind of nonsense. Is deeper. It's always deeper, it's difficult. I know, especially when your culture is like that, not just the culture that we grew up in as far as the country of our birth and things like that, but the masculine culture in itself. You are supposed to be the one who takes care, who fixes. So you can't break down, you can't break apart. You're supposed to be able to go out and hunt and gather and make sure everybody's okay and protected. Where does that leave room for you to be able to say, oh gosh, look, I'm bleeding, or I need a band-aid? You can't even say that for a little paper cut or anything like that, because then weakness is kind of looked at you like, what? So I can't trust that you could protect me. I can't trust, you know what I mean? Those are the things that within our culture. Yes, exactly.
That's what you're getting on so forth.
Yeah.
And well, Aaron, I know you're smiling when you hear paper cut, the amount of money you just be counting when you do cut.
Paper cut.
But no. I'm smiling because I'm recalling conversations I would have had with some other peers about this, because recently my peers and I would have lost a friend to suicide. Right? And a lot of us afterwards saying, well, the same thing. Why he didn't reach out for help? Why he didn't? And it's really tough to know that someone who's close to you, who you spend so much time with, is right under your nose, going through so much trauma, and they never reach out for help.
Right.
So, as we learned in an episode last year, Ricardo, genuinely ask your friends, how they are going.
Doing. Yes. 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 And be sincere when you're asking that question. Because that's and that's a perfect segue, seriously, Aaron, because that is the first thing you're supposed to do. If you're just, but wait a minute, I find he acting strange or she acting strange, ask. You have to start by asking a question. And I know, me, I want to be in people business. Me, I know Mako. I don't care if you have to be a Mako. Be a Mako. Because you need to ask how you're coping with what's happening in your life. Things like, especially now, you know, you ask them, do you ever feel like giving up? I mean, just bring up the conversation. You could be hanging out with your boys or just hanging out even with your siblings. And you just sit down and you're like, you know, boy, you guys ever feel like giving up? Have you ever thought about hurting yourself? Those kind of questions, just to bring up a conversation. I mean, I know people be like, boy, that's a serious conversation to have. Yes, but these are serious times, right? These are serious times. So if you see any kind of flag, any kind of mood swings or anything like that, you need to ask the question. And if the person answers you in a way, then yes, you encourage them to seek treatment, because they could be just at the stage of being depressed, you know, but the suicidal thoughts are starting to come in. And that can definitely evolve into severe depression. And you have this, you're like, okay, well, you know, let me go and see somebody now. Let me help you call somebody. You know, if you had to make the phone call, you make the phone call of the person saying, me, I'm so motivated to do so, or whatever, be it male or female. You need to be that support. Encourage them, you know, to go and seek treatment. Because especially in our culture, seeking mental health, when I say to my family, you know what, I'm going to be a psychologist, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a psychologist. But who want to come to you? Only crazy people coming to you.
Right.
No, it doesn't work like that. I know within our culture, people are ashamed or they feel guilty or embarrassed or whatever the case may be. But we need to form a supportive culture for the people around us so that they are not afraid to share when they're having a hard time. You know, we shouldn't be patronizing them. We're supposed to be respectful of their feelings, because even though thinking about suicide is not a logical thing, don't get me wrong, it's not something that you logically would do, all right? But the person's feelings of wanting to end their life is real. It's real. So don't patronize them. Don't be judgmental. Don't tell somebody, boy, things could be worse, you know. You have everything to live for. At that moment, the person doesn't feel like they have everything to live for. You know? So we need to ask, but what causing you to feel so bad? What will make you feel better? Or something as simple as, how can I help? How can I help? You know?
Sometimes you would see your friends posting things on to the timeline, to change your status, they would literally let people know, they would let the public know that they're having a hard time. And I've seen the response be, why are you posting all them things? Why are you putting all your business in the road? You know, and you come at them for reaching out or for crying out, and then afterwards you'll go and sit down with your cricks and cheese paste and talk about why they didn't say something.
Exactly.
You know, something comes to mind here as you talk about the posting. And anytime anybody brings it up, I will draw reference to this. The young man who was posting to his Twitter account while in UE. And everybody was just liking and sharing and all those different things, not knowing that he was genuinely crying out for help.
Thinking it was a joke.
And then he committed suicide. I think the same day with all those posts.
Or attention seeking.
Yeah. Well, hey, sadly, no matter how much These dogs don't bark all day. They tend to bark as soon as we hit record for this show. Right? Well, let's not let that make us lose our trend of thought. We just touched on attention seeking, right? And this is something that I don't know how prevalent it is in the US, but locally, sometimes you tend to hear people saying, if you leave me, I will kill myself, and things like that. Or if the relationship ends.
Okay, we do
sentiment.
know. That's true. It's true. And that is definitely manipulation, right? Yes, it is manipulation, and it happens both ways. Now, granted, the person is sometimes at their wit's end and they're like, okay, I'm pulling out all the guns, and this is the last thing that they feel they could say. But for an individual who is really, and this is a serious situation where they are actually going to do it, you have already seen some signs. So it's not like this is a completely, stable individual, no issues in their life, he or she, and all of a sudden pull out, I'm going to kill myself if you leave me. That individual might not be as serious, but if somebody does say that to you, well, sweetheart, if that is something that you're going to do, let me help you. Let's go speak to somebody. Take these steps towards assisting them in getting some support. Be like, I don't want that to happen to you. So let's go and talk to an individual. I can, be a support for you through this. Even though the end result might still be that your relationship will end. The point is, there is a positive way to end any relationship, even if the person is threatening to say they're going to end their life. You want to separate amicably, so to speak, so that no one is hurt. So don't think of it as a joking matter. Me bothering with Tina, me bothering with she. Please don't do that, because you don't know if that moment, if your relationship with that person is the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. So I don't take any threat of suicide as a joke. Everything is serious to me, and if all I did was connect you with an individual you can talk to if not share real feelings of wanting to hurt yourself, it will help you at least learn to cope with the fact that we're going to break up anyway. You know what I mean? So maybe I could connect you with somebody to help you understand that this relationship done, and to help ease you out of it or into a new life or whatever. But I don't take suicide as a joke, regardless of what it is. And especially during these times, I think, I was having a conversation recently with some friends where I was like, the person is like, well, I'm not feeling good, I'm going through a divorce, all these kinds of things, domestic violence. It was a whole bunch of nonsense that the person was talking about. And I was like, well, you're having all of these issues and you're saying you're going to hurt yourself, So I was like, all right, well, let's start taking some steps. We make sure they connected with people, talk to somebody, supporting them through this. But one night the situation became really serious, and we had to go over to that person's home and remove potentially any dangerous things out of their house. When you're thinking of plans for anything, if you ask somebody, well, how you're going to do it, and the person tells you how they're going to do it, they're serious. When somebody tells you, well, my grandmother has these pills and I've been putting aside 2 or 3 of them. Now I have about 50 of them. That person is serious. Okay? If the person starting to cut, being a teenager, young person starting to make marks on their skin, and you're noticing the marks going from this way to this way, they are serious about what they're doing. If you cannot see it, they hide in it, they're very serious about what they're doing. They've increased taking drugs with alcohol, which is usually the direction that most males would go through to be able to get some release from the tension, whatever tension it is that they're feeling, whatever problems they're having. Most men would choose substance abuse or alcohol abuse. That's usually the path that they would choose to release it. But the problem is alcohol only compounds the issue, drugs only compounds the issue. It deepens the depression, and it also increases, inappropriate behaviors and different things that they would do to, end their life. It increases those chances of those things occurring. And during the pandemic, most people, we've noticed that drugs and alcohol have increased. Just because the bar is not open didn't mean that the rum shop wasn't open down the road, and inside of their house is every single list, top shelf, bottom shelf, middle shelf of all alcohol and drugs that they were planning on taking. So every single sign that you see, yes, please take it seriously as you possibly can. When this individual that I was speaking of earlier, once we got her calmed down and in a what we consider a little bit of a stable state, we had to have a conversation about a safety plan, So that's after the risk of suicide has gone, right? So basically you are helping this person develop a plan. Is a simple plan on how to cope with when a crisis hits for them, right? So usually when a person who's at risk for suicide, the plan is something that they would do with a therapist. But family and friends can also do those things to help as well, to help them make a plan. The plan does include a list of what the person's triggers are, what their warning signs if they coming into a crisis, because they know exactly what those signs are, right? So you also want to know, well, if you're going through a crisis, what can I do to help you, to get you to feel more comfortable or to come off the ledge, so to speak, right? So like maybe coming over, watching a movie, playing a card game, the person will tell you the things that will kind of calm them down, right? So planning or asking them, well, how would you do it if you was going to do it? Just because you ask somebody that question doesn't mean that you're having them think about the suicidal attempt. It basically helps you to know, well, if I see this, then I know, even if the person they tell me, I know, that I need to come and be a support or be helpful to that individual. In Trinidad, I do know that we have the findcareTT.com, which is a mental health psychosocial support network that the Ministry of Health did implement. And they did that with the help of TTAP, social workers, TED Cross, all those different things. There is also a clinic, a stress clinic, and a men's health clinic in Chaguanas, right? And that falls under the North Central Regional Health Authority, right? I know a lot of your listeners are in the United States. So I would say for the US, they would call the National Suicidal Prevention Lifeline. And that is, reading it from here, boy, 1-800-273-8255. Or they can text the crisis text line by texting HOME, HOME, to this number, 741-741, right? So there are support lines that are out there. They even have an app, a smartphone app called Virtual Hope Box. I sent these links to you guys. So please share them, on your site. Also, there's a website called Now Matters Now. And that's a website that has like videos of personal stories of suicide survivors talking about their own struggles. and how they overcame suicidal thoughts. So I know that stories of suicide, survival, and coping with suicidal thoughts does have a positive effect on people who are at risk for suicide. Because why wouldn't that be helpful to know that you make it through where I am at right now? If you you were able to get through that, you were able to survive those overwhelming feelings and those feelings of self-hate and all of those things, you were able to get over that, then yes, that would give me some encouragement as well about those things, being able to get over those things. I know that during the pandemic, many of you are like, well, what am I supposed to do to ensure that the stress doesn't get to that point that I am thinking of ending my time on this earth? I say to many people, oh gosh, or they take some breaks now from watching and reading the news and listening to all these news. Take some breaks from the social media, only talking about the pandemic. It's good for you to be informed, but hearing about the pandemic constantly, I don't know about you now, but it's very upsetting. So I say to my clients, please consider limiting the news to a couple of times a day. Disconnect your phone and the TV and the computer screen for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Take some deep breaths, stretching, meditating, exercising regularly. We've started kayaking, my husband and I. Is a new thing that we're doing that we've gotten so excited about to the point we buy our own kayak. You know what I mean? So, I telling you, seeing me in a boat rowing, boy, hey, I never thought that I'd be able to see me doing something like that. But it's something I enjoy, and it's something that I am looking forward to doing every time we plan to do that. I've increased getting more sleep. And don't get me wrong, I know I have to have your little drink here and there. Yes, oh God, the church point finger. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was pointing up. I don't know where he is right now on the screen.
Yeah,
sleep.
The sleep management has been a point of some discussion recently.
You need, Why? You're not getting enough sleep, Ricardo?
I'm getting enough. I'm getting enough, right? It's just some people insist that your 8 hours be in the night. I don't know. Suppose my 8 hours start 4 o'clock in the morning and then I get up midday, right? Suppose.
Is that your normal routine?
It kind of is, yeah.
Okay. As long as you're getting enough sleep and you're not feeling as though, oh gosh, sometimes you're thinking and you're, oh gosh, with that thought went by.
Losing train of thought.
Yes, losing your train. Yeah, as long as you're not losing your train of thought and, your routine is going pretty well and you don't feel, the tightness behind your neck and your shoulders and headaches and things like that, then okay, if that works for you.
Dr. Clay, you saw Aaron's expression change?
I saw several expressions come across the screen. So I just thought, but that might be another show. So yes. I will leave that alone. I will leave it alone.
I ain't saying that you're taking my side, but I like the fact that we could agree when Aaron should take some of his own medicine.
This is quite true. I hope he is. I hope he's listening.
And just to let our listeners know on the local front, Karine just mentioned some of the local numbers. I'll just mention some local numbers. The Child Line, which is a free help service, it's 131 on a B mobile phone. Or if you're calling from any of the other networks, it's 800-4321.
Good. That's perfect.
And the suicide prevention number, the 24-hour contact line, is 800-5588 or 231-2824.
Perfect. I'm glad I answered 24 hours. Good.
Yeah, what I will definitely do is make sure that in the episode we present these numbers and these links. I would ask though, Karine, I call her Karine, I call her Dr. Clay, how can I tell you?
That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. No worries.
what I'd like to do, now we normally ask this question at the beginning of our segment, but I would like to ask it as we wrap this one up, because let's put it this way, we've already established contact.
Yeah.
And because of the manner in which you've delivered the information, I am sure we are having you back in the living room.
Oh, I hope so.
Absolutely. Any help with dealing with Aaron I could get, I'm taking. Well, is there...
I'm quite delightful. I must say that.
You are.
I'm quite delightful.
Yeah, you know what? Also delightful, Aaron?
What?
Honey roasted nuts, cotton candy, all these things are delightful. But, you know, you have
doubles.
too much of it.
Oh, God. My doubles. I can't wait. Anyway.
Doubles? And that's Ricardo's favorite food.
I don't know what you're talking about. Rotis,
breakfast, lunch,
curry anytime. My favorite food. I love curry. So what we're gonna do is, first and foremost, is there any way that let's say the listeners could, do you have a social media? Is there do you have a, you know, how can we benefit from these nuggets of wisdom, just as we go into our feed and that type of thing?
Well, on my Facebook, I have Higher Potential for Learning LLC. So I have my personal Facebook, obviously, that's my business Facebook, the same as my email, right? Mm-hmm. And on WhatsApp, it's 702-528-1276, the number that you guys have communicated with me on WhatsApp, most definitely. And as I am a TTAP member, they're able to find me on the TTAP list as well, of licensed psychologists on the list, right? So definitely, yes. My practice is in Cuba. So I do have a practice in Trinidad, and under normal circumstances, before all of this nonsense, I was coming home 3 or 4 times for the year. And in a year and a half, I will be home permanently. And coming to the United States for my US practice 3 or 4 times to the year. So it'll be flipped, so I will be home more than I am here. Yeah. So totally looking forward to that.
As you mentioned the TTAP, I want to give a shout out to she probably upstairs in the wherever now.
Yeah, she living here.
Yeah, she living here.
Yes.
I want to shout out Miss Jill Valdez for creating this link.
Oh, thank you. She is totally my person. She's one of my people that, if you know how you say every shrink is supposed to have a person, she is one of those people. Every person should have a person. And Jill is an individual. I will honestly say, if I am stressed, I'll be like, ding, 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 girl, it's time for a talk, kind of thing. She is that person.
Jill is the roof of the living room. She is.
Yes.
She has been with us so many times on so many different types of projects. Jill is a whole brand.
All by herself. Yes,
right, so,
it's true.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that. The question we usually ask our guests with to start, and we're going to end with this question, because you know what? It's something that we need to practice. So we're going to end on this note.
Okay.
Karine, how are you?
Well done. Thank you. I must be honest, I'm actually doing much better now, because I have had COVID, and COVID has impacted my health, not in always the most positive ways, I would like to say. My smell and my taste still ain't come back, seriously. But other than that, I have definitely learned to cope with loss. I wish I didn't have to say that I've learned to cope with loss, but I have learned to cope with loss, that this new normal has definitely encouraged me to ensure that I am practicing what I preach. And so, to say that, I am more conscious, not just only of other people's psychosocial well-being and mental health, I am extremely conscious of my own. So I do take the time to ensure that I am okay. Now, that was not always the case. So I'm happy to say that, yeah, right now I'm doing much better. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Aaron, any last words for Dr. Clay?
I want to say thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Dr. Clay, for joining us inside the living room to have this serious conversation on this topic. Personally, I thought I was ready to have a conversation like this,
Mhm.
but during today's conversation, I realized I wasn't, because memories of friends that I've lost
Mhm.
through suicide rushed to my head, and it makes me really recognize how much we don't look after our fellow man.
Yeah.
And not just man as in me,
In general, but
in
women.
general.
as well.
I have to
Mhm.
make sure and say that.
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
So guys, look after your people. Ask how they going.
Mhm.
You know, I just constantly be saying that love is the currency to spend
Mm.
some today. Spread some love.
Please.
And don't be afraid to spread it.
Mm-mm.
Spread it like garlic bread, like garlic butter on
Mhm.
one of them loaf of bread.
Mhm.
Spread it thick and spread it nice.
Right.
I'm
Truly.
feeling for garlic bread.
Yeah.
Hmm.
On that note, I would like to close by saying this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the local stage, thanking you guys for joining us in the living room. Remember, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe.
Yes.
And this is yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I'm always great and I'm never late. I already tell all you, love is the currency, so spend some today.
Mhm.
On Saturday, I was privileged to interview one Joshua Regrello on the
Mhm.
launch of his album called, and I had to say it right, The Pan Man.
The Pan Man?
No, not the, D.
D.
D-E-D.
Yeah,
Pan
D-E.
Man.
Yeah,
Okay.
The Pan Man, right? So today we are going to close with one of the videos,
Oh.
right? We ain't telling you which one. Just make sure and stay tuned and watch it. And remember, you can get the album on all major streaming platforms, Amazon Music, Apple Music, YouTube,
Ooh.
as well
I'm
as
gonna do that.
Spotify.
I'm getting it now.
And we have Mr. Desmond following up with the big band, Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be after the Pan Man.
After what is it?
After D
After
Pan
the
Man.
Pan Man.
Right. Stress on the D. Keep it locked, guys.
Bye.